Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are watching. It's a bit of a return for myself and, my beautiful co-caster, Logan. It's been a few weeks.
Hello.
I hope you've been all keeping well. And, as you heard briefly there, it is the lovely, the ever beautiful, it is Logan Skelton alongside me tonight. But tonight, very importantly, we head to Hungary. It's not an April Fool's joke. It's not quite April Fool's just yet, but it is certainly going to be a good race and plenty of action tonight. And if you celebrate it, happy Easter. Hope you had some Easter eggs. Hope you had plenty of chocolate. But it's Hungary tonight. I'm pretty sure that's going to be more of a sweet surprise for these drivers than any Easter eggs they could have eaten.
Yeah, we all know you're hungry, Byron. You should have had dinner at the ready during the break.
I have already eaten. I have already
Darn.
eaten. But
Fell
nonetheless,
for that joke.
yeah, the joke's in the water. But someone who was not in the water, talk about smooth transition, that I've just completely botched by mentioning it. But it was Coolman, who had the coolest time of it all, as he picked up the win last time out when we headed to the ever so beautiful, ever so lovely Spanish Grand Prix for round number 7. So Coolman currently P1 in the championship. Well, not P1 in the championship, P1 last time out, followed by Paul Adolphs for ETA. A good showing from them. They've really had some good form so far this season, have ETA, and then you had Artem rounding out that podium. Let's have a look at your proper standings, though. It's CPI on top, 305 points, followed by NLR on 244. That dominance from CPI continuing even further. LDL in third as well, followed by the International Racing Team, IRT, as they are known, on 197 points. ETA in fifth, a really good start to their season. P5 in the championship, 138 points, a real strong showing from this team thus far. And then VMV in sixth, RBL seventh, Race Concept Racing in joint seventh there with RBL, and then EPL in ninth in this championship, which is a measly 14 points, but plenty of points up for grabs tonight, Logan. I mean, who do we think, is going to be on fine form around the Hungara ring?
Well, it would be interesting to see how NLR can keep up their form recently after Coleman won last week. He's not in tonight. In fact, there's 3 NLR drivers, and that's illegal. I'm only kidding. Gustavo is part of the ET8 team, but it says NLR on his sign. Please ignore that. It's going to be very confusing for us, I know, but not much we can do. Of course, the new team EPL, they did get a second place, but they were disqualified for, let's just say, technical infringement. So they'll be hoping to bounce back and hopefully avoid the DQ tonight. Of course, you've got the LDL team, but everyone's chasing after CPI tonight. CPI trying to extend their 60 plus point lead further and closer to the title.
Absolutely, that title ever looking in the favour of CPI, but with plenty of rounds to go, we'll be heading to Bahrain next week, then followed by Japan, Las Vegas, and Brazil to round out the season. 4 races to go after tonight. Plenty of chaos likely to unfold, especially as we head to circuits like Bahrain and Las Vegas and Brazil, known for their great racing, great action, and plenty of overtaking. But the Hungaroring as well, it's a difficult circuit to overtake at, but nonetheless, going to be seeing plenty of overtakes, I have no doubt, especially going into turn number 1. That straight, it provides a great overtaking opportunity, but that tyre strategy and how you perfect your race from start to finish, ever so important around this sort of circuit, but it's going to be crucial for all of these drivers to get it pinpoint perfect.
Absolutely. So we're just about head ready up. We've only got 15 tonight, it seems. And one team that's not represented is the team in the Haas. If I can just get who that team is. And just get up here. Yeah, but we have one team, actually two teams missing tonight. The team in the in the Red Bulls, the team the Red Bulls RVL is missing, and the Haas team is just left blank. It seems. I'm checking on my notes.
Yes, I believe we are only on 9 teams. I'm not fully too sure what's going on there, but here's your look at the track map of the Hungary in Budapest. It is a brilliant circuit, plenty of overtaking opportunities, especially if you're feeling ever opportunistic. But 2.738 miles, 14 turns here. Turn number 1, your best overtaking opportunity realistically, but think about that turn 2 as well as you head on the rundown as well through turn 3, 4 and into turn number 5. Do expect maybe someone to try a dive into turn number 5 at some point, but also there is towards the end of the lap you have that brilliant downhill into turn number 12, which I think you might see an overtaking opportunity or two there. But if my ears are feeding me the correct information, which I believe they certainly are, qualifying is about to get underway. All the drivers are about to take to the Hungaroring for the first time. In season 3, on PlayStation, it's going to be a great cracking race here. I've just realised I'm unmuted in the game, so we'll fix that very quickly. But let's take you over to that gameplay because it is time to get qualifying underway here at the Hungaroring.
Oh, and we've already lost Inwa. That's not very good. I'll just get him back right now. Yes, Hungaroring, of course, the first track to ever host a race in a communist country back in 1986 when Hungary was under communist rule. And it's been on the calendar ever since.
Well, the Hungary is a staple track on the F1 calendar. We've raced here for plenty of time, as you just pointed out, and well, Hungary, one of those circuits I think everyone certainly likes. It's got a great atmosphere about it as well. Yeah, it's going to be great to see these drivers hit to the track in a couple of moments. We are going to get a few drivers onto the track because I do see a Mercedes of Artem.
I'm just getting Inwa back in the game because he just left briefly. So everyone coming out for the bog standard 18 minutes of qualifying, the fastest time getting the pole position. You see Artem on an intermediate, so it just seems like testing the waters. Ironically, there is no water. Going through the first few corners. We've got both ET8s out there, the GPIs of Giovanni and Stretch. That's a new name to me after all. I haven't been here the past 2 weeks, but it's good to be back after all. And a couple of drivers opting to stay in for now.
Yes, absolutely. A few drivers keeping it in, but our first flying lap of the circuit is going to come courtesy of Gustav R here for ET8. It does say NLR on his gamer tag, but do not let that be any misinformation for you. They are representing ET8 here tonight and have been representing ET8 here for this championship. But here we go into turn number 1. This is the first lap of somewhat anger, but remember, they're just setting a benchmark at time here. They're not going for anything too blistering. They're not going for anything too fast, but the benchmarker time will be coming from Gustav R here in this qualifying session. There we go, heading through up towards the end of sector number 1, heading into this fast left-hander. You'll go through there at about 130, 140 miles an hour. Now through this tight right-hander. Going to be very careful on the exit. That sausage curve, very lethal into this chicane. Sweet as you like it. Try not to ride those curbs too much. They will unsettle your car, especially on the exit there, as now they go through the harder sector 2. These sweeping left and right hand corners, they're not quite like Maggots and Beckett's, but they're certainly not too far off from this through the end of sector 2. This right-hander here, it goes back in on itself, so it's more than 90 degrees there. Quite a lot of steering required for here, and then a sweeping left as then, followed by that sweeping right, which you can really use to set up your hot lap when you're going onto it, because you can run as wide as you can, get the throttle down as early as possible. Up to the line though, Gustav, benchmarker time, a 1:15.236. Not a bad lap time there from him, but immediately beaten by Giovanni there for EPL.
And that's Lightbit across the line in third. You may notice that these pit boxes, they are very, as Castleplat goes to the top, these are very, I wouldn't say, the inverse of outdated. It's too far in the future. They're still not built yet. Crazy.
Well, it's going to be very crazy to see what happens in the remaining of this qualifying session. We have just got, just under 14 minutes left on the clock. LDL Oni is coming across the line in the next couple of moments. And now up to the line he goes. His teammate's third. He could only muster 7th on that initial run. But as we said, these are initial runs. These are not going to be your best and ultimate pace. As now Stretch makes his first appearance over the line, up to 5th there for him. Not bad for EPL in this qualifying session, as Fleddy also now comes across the line. He goes up to 4th place there, a 1:15.193 there for him. And that is Spicer, who goes up into 3rd place, a 1:14.913 for him. Not a bad lap time at all to get his qualifying session underway, and it's definitely looking like, well, we haven't seen CPI yet, so wait until you see that, but not a bad place here currently for IRT or NLR.
All 12 and a bit minutes to go. We have 10 drivers on the board, 4 yet to set a lap, including Mikalarmi. If I can read that correctly. My glasses are not on. Bad idea. He's on the hards, quite interestingly. I'm not sure if he's just doing what Artem is, test the waters before setting a fast lap, but that's what he's decided to do. We've got Captain also for the RCR team. I believe that's Race Clutch Racing.
I believe it's Race Control Racing, if I remember rightly. But definitely going to be interesting to see what they can do. I haven't really got to see what they're able to muster in a competitive session, but it's Race Concept Racing. We were both wrong. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with them. I've not really got to see too much of them, and it seems like they've not been the best of teams so far, but it's going to be interesting to see what they are able to muster. But Inwa, he's on a hot lap at the moment. Actually, no, he is not. It looks like it's a prep lap, possibly. Very interesting. We've seen this in real life Formula 1 where you go for multiple. I believe that's a qualifying.
Oh, yeah, I think Mikalarmi has got a
I believe
qualifying
it's a
ban,
yes. Inward taking a second prep lap. Interestingly, this is not something you see too often. A second prep lap in a qualifying session. No one really sees this on the F1 game, but Inward deciding to take that interesting strategy, a different route for a qualifying session, because you don't really see that ever on the F1 game. Artem there retiring as well, so I believe that's also a qualifying ban. So CPI definitely going to be on the back foot here, because they're going to be last. So a big slide there coming out at the exit of turn number 2 for Inwa. So that's not what you'd like to see, but a purple sector 1 according to the game, but invalidated, so it all come to nothing anyway. As we're still missing one driver to settle lap time, and that is Capitan, all the way down in 30th place. That's how I'm going to pronounce it, because it's just the funniest way to pronounce it, I think.
Yeah, Artem is quite confused why his NLR got ET got an NLR driver. Must have forgot to change the teams. 14 people is quite disappointing. Because we're used to having 20 sometimes, aren't we? Inwa has got a 1:33.477. That's quite incredible. What a time. I couldn't do faster in a Mini Cooper.
Yes. And not the best of lap times from some people, but nonetheless, in this qualifying session, we've still got a lot of things to, well, unfold. CPI, they're definitely on the back foot here going into this race. They've got to think about that all-important strategy, and it's a good opportunity for everybody else to gain a heap of places, a heap load of time, and gain a crucial advantage in the championship over a team that has been on fine and dominant form. But we saw last time out a different team take to that top step of the podium. It's not happened too much so far in this championship, but CPI definitely not looking quite as strong as they were earlier on in their campaign. But as we get towards less than 9 minutes in this qualifying session, and it's going to be getting these next laps underway, and once they end, it's going to be a case of who is going to be at the top of the timesheets, because honestly, could not tell you.
Gustavo is in the wrong team. Or is it one of these Visa Cash App RB moves where they have two teams?
Possibly.
Or no, can't be right.
Well, nonetheless, it is good tire stuff for Gustavo there, all the way up at the top of the timesheet as things stand in this qualifying session. 8 minutes really left to go in this session, and Lifeboat, his teammate, is down in 9th place as things stand. But if that pace from one of the EC8 cars is anything to go by, the other one might be about to jump a few places and move up that order in a couple of moments' time, but up towards the final couple of bends around this lap, and now it is going to be blast round the final corner as fast as you possibly can. Get on the throttle as early as you can, and beautifully done there from Lifeboat up to the line. It's 6th place, so an improvement, but nowhere near the ultimate pace set by his teammate. 4 tenths ahead in this qualifying session, his teammate versus him, and Gustavo, take a bow. What an initial lap time from him. It's going to be very difficult to beat that.
It is indeed, of course, 1/10, a massive statement from the ET8 driver, Casper Flack. Thought his time would be good, but it is indeed not. Giovanni close behind as well. Well, I say that he's 1/10 down, but still. Anything can happen in these last 7 minutes. There's still room for improvement.
Indeed, plenty of room for improvement, and someone who is going to be looking to try and improve is LDL Nico, who is in 5th place. He apparently is up by about 2 tenths of a second round the final bend, now up as he comes up to the line, and it will be a marginal improvement, nearly a tenth of a second, but not enough to get ahead of someone there as Giovanni, goes up to 2nd place for EPL. Not a bad showing from him in this qualifying session. Casper Flag can't improve and get ahead of Giovanni there. So a good benchmark time from Giovanni there to get that 2nd place ahead of Casper Flood, who we know has been a very fast driver in this season so far. As now Spicer goes round on his 2nd run, round the final bend now and up towards the line and taken very nicely there. Don't run it too wide on the exit, don't want to lose pace there, and doesn't quite improve, only 19 hundredths down there, so disappointing for Spicer, because that very quickly, that could have, in the blink of an eye, have been an improvement. So disappointing for him, but he's got time to get back into that pit lane, change his tyres, go back out again, set a better lap time.
Yes, indeed. So Giovanni now 6.5 tenths within Gustavo's time, taking 2nd place from Casper Flack. Further down, every driver has set a lap that is still in the session, not got a quali ban. I don't know where this is going. I thought he was going to get a 5-second penalty there.
Yes. Obviously, no penalties awarded in qualifying, other than ones for, blocking, illegal blocking, of course, and obviously those all-important penalties that you can get for causing a collision. But obviously, we have a lobby restart in the event that one of those illegal blocking penalties gets awarded. We haven't had one up to this point, and with less drivers than usual, you certainly would hope that you won't get them at all, but you never know. Might still happen in this qualifying session, but nonetheless, plenty of drivers gonna need to find an improvement around this track as now we get towards those all-important final runs. 4.5 minutes left on this clock, and well, you know, it is Gustavo on top ahead of Giovanni. Two teams that, well, NLR, well, sorry, not NLR, ET8, the Indigo came in a couple of rounds ago. They're not doing too bad at all, and Giovanni not doing too bad for EPL, which is a team we haven't seen a huge amount of at times, but well, going to be interesting to see as now we get through this qualifying session and well towards those final runs where we'll get our pole sitter here, who at the moment would be Gustavo for ET8.
So here we go, closing to the end of the session. So who is going to be able to top Gustav at the top? It seems very unlikely indeed. By the way, Captain is the only driver setting a lap. He improves but remains dead last of those still in the running.
Yes, disappointing for him at this point in the session, but you know, there's not much more he can do. He's just trying to set the best lap time he can. He hasn't got a teammate to back him up, and neither has Inwar there, who's obviously in 11th place. But you know, this is the one thing that I think those drivers for NLR, ETA, and IRT, and every other team are going to be looking at. They're actually going to be thinking, okay, there's a couple of slower guys towards the back of the grid. They might be able to hold up the likes of CPI, Artem, and I have McKillering there down towards the bottom of the the bottom of the field. So it works to their benefit possibly having a couple slower drivers around them, but nonetheless, Inwa, Nico, and now Giovanni all out onto the track, and Inwa will be the first driver to set a lap time on these final runs, and well. He's got a lot of time to try and prep these tyres around this circuit, and well, gonna really have to try and get them into that optimal window to get the absolute maximum pace. 5-second penalty for illegal blocking. That
Oh
confirms the restart.
no!
You couldn't get through a race weekend without it.
You have to wait even longer.
Yes, it's gonna be a bit disappointing to for these drivers now having to wait a couple of moments to get that restart sorted out, but Inwa, he will be the first driver to begin the final flying laps. He is all the way down at the bottom of the field. He has the most to gain out of setting a good final flying lap time here, and with 1 minute 50 left on the clock, he now comes across the line to begin what will be his final flying lap around the Hungary down into turn number 1, braking at about the 50-meter board there. Beautifully done. DRS go wide open there on the Sauber car now as we head down towards turn number 2, taken very nicely. Use the curve a little bit to your advantage. Not quite hitting the apex, running a bit too wide of it there, but taken nicely and recovered fairly well there as now we head through into what will be sector number 2. He's improving by 0.2 of a second now as we go down into turn number 5 here. And well, nicely done there for the Alfa Romeo Sauber now as we go through the tricky chicane. Beautifully taken, not using the curb at all, just beautifully held and done to perfection. And now in we go through the harder sector 2, these corners that do remind you of those Suzuka curves, those Maggots and Beckett's corners, or even Kota perhaps now as we head towards the end of sector 2. That right-hander might remind you of Baku a bit more, and now these sweeping left and right-handers to finish off the lap as there's a car parked there on the side of the track. That's just them trying to wait for Inwa to go past. They can properly set up the end of their lap. Inwa up to the line though. It is an improvement, half a second up to 8th. Not a bad lap time there for them, as now everyone else is going to be looking to try and set their final flying laps, and it's going to be a case of, can Gustavo take a pole position for ET8 here? They want it. They're going to be fighting for it, and this man is trying to deliver it.
Indeed, he is. So here we go. The final set of laps being taking place here at the Hungary as Giovanni crosses the line and improves. He is 2/3 of a tenth of a second up on Gustav. Casper on a lap as well. Coming around the line next will be Lifeboat. who will have his penalty removed. Do not worry. He just grazes the outside of the track and he cannot get any higher. Only improves by 7 thousandths. His teammate Gustavus comes to the line and he's improved it and he's ahead by 7 thousandths. Slim margins.
Definitely slim margins in the case of this qualifying session. Gustav Hauer back to the top of that timing sheet. Kasper Fuck now round the final bend up to the line, and now it is going to be a case of can he get an improvement? He does by nearly 1.5 tenths, but not enough to move up there. And on Alpha Gully up to 4th, a beautiful lap time from him. Doesn't look like Nico is improving in this qualifying session. So I believe that is it for qualifying session. It's Gustav R who takes pole position for ETA. As we've said before, do not let that NLR, do not let the NLR in his name deceive you. He is representing ETA, and what a beautiful pole position they've taken. They have about 130 points in this championship, and they're going to be looking to add absolute mountains to it tonight if they can take the win around this circuit, because that would be a heap load of points, and they are going to take that with open arms, especially with CPI down the order as things stand. But Gustav R, your pole sitter here tonight. It's going to be great when we get this lobby restart back underway. And, well, nonetheless, it's going to be a brilliant time. And we'll give you a proper debrief of this qualifying session as soon as Giovanna is back in his pit garage. And then we cut over to the final race, qualifying results. A couple of moments.
There you go. There's the leaderboard. Is Gustav R ahead of Giovanna by 7,000, 58,000 behind with Kasper. Alpha Gully just over a quarter of a second behind. 5th we have Nico. Spicer in 6th. Then Stretch and Lifeboat in the 4th row. The 5th row is IRT's Fleddy and LDL's Oni. VMV Inwa and RCR Captain will fill the second to last row. And Artem and Nikolmi, both CPI, both of the championship team leaders, will be starting at the very back.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just quickly keeping an eye on the Discord. And just saying, we need them to cook up a good race, and I'm sure they will definitely cook up a good race. We're going to have a Demolition Derby down into turn number 1, which I'm looking forward to, as always. Who doesn't love a good Demolition Derby, especially into that first corner around this sort of circuit? We've seen plenty of bowling incidents down into that turn. And
you're right.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of it from the likes of Vouchy Bottas and Lance Stroll. They've become fairly accustomed to a good old game of bowling around the Hungary. And, well, we can have our own little bit of bowling into turn number 1 in a couple of moments' time. All these drivers will just get a Demolition Derby underway, and then we'll be heading towards the, well, a lobby restart here. Gustav R obviously leading us away, and everyone will retire on the grid, all cause a bit of chaos down into turn number 1. And wow, just look at that. It's beautiful. It is beautiful, the amount of chaos we are seeing here, as pretty much everyone has already retired from this race, and you can't fault any of them, because, you know, this is the, gotta be end the race in a fun way, especially when a group penalty is being awarded. It's much quicker to use the same lobby than to go into a new one. But that is your Demolition Derby sorted for here. But that is your Demolition Derby dose for today, and we will be back in a couple of moments' time. We'll properly unpack that qualifying session and build up towards the race. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple of moments' time. Well, welcome back from that short intermission, mostly so we could just regain our breath and chat with the Discord people and figure out exactly everything that happened in that qualifying session. But if you're just joining us as we build up towards this race here, it is Gustav R on pole position here for the race around the Hungaroring for round number 8 of Competitive Speed Series PlayStation Season 3, of course, and it is him ahead of Giovanni here. A bit of an unusual pairing on that front lineup, but ETA, they have really taken this championship by storm, joining midpoint through this season, and well, they're P5 in the championship, 138 points, and they are certainly building up some really great momentum here. I mean, just look at the sort of things they've done across the standings so far. They joined going into round number 5, and since then have already picked up 138 points. They've got not too many to gain. They've only got to get 59 points ahead of IRT to get up into 4th place in this championship, and with 35 points, sorry, for the win. It is going to certainly be an interesting one to see if they're able to get, a good race here tonight and get some real positive momentum ahead of that team. But in a couple of moments' time, we'll be getting underway for this race and heading towards the grid for it. But let's have another look at that track map for you. And well, this is the circuit we're racing around, the Hungaroring in Budapest. 2.738 miles, 14 turns, plenty of left and right handers around this circuit, and plenty of overtaking opportunities. Your main ones being a turn number 1, turn 2, and then up into turn number 5 as well. All very good overtaking opportunities, but don't forget about turn 12 as well. Plenty of places you can try and pass if you got the overspeed, but do remember that you're going to be looking to more towards the back of this grid, because CPI, the current championship leaders here, are down in the bottom of this field. They're going to be in 13th and 14th place, and they're going to want to try and build up some more momentum in this race and get into some solid high points paying positions. But everyone is in the lobby and on the track, so it is almost time to get the action underway here. And back to this track we go. And I've just realised that I forgot to mute my notifications on my PlayStation, and that doesn't happen every other week. It's not like that's almost a staple of me doing a stream for Competitive Speed Series, but nonetheless, we'll be getting underway in a few moments' time. They've all been told to ready up. They've all been told to begin getting themselves sorted and ready for this race, but the rundown into turn number 1 is not a very long rundown. It's going to be an exciting one, though. Are we going to see some bowling, though? Earth to Logan.
Hello?
I was asking if we were going to see any bowling into turn number 1.
Hope not. Save that for the night out.
Save that for the night out, says.
Just hope there's gutter balls and they all get through, survive.
That would be very interesting indeed. Hoping for plenty of action, hoping for plenty of drama. We're just moments away from the lights out around the Hungaroring, one of the most iconic circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. One we've been to so many a times in real life Formula 1, and one that it'll be fun to take to tonight. And now these drivers are beginning to get their setups, perfect their strategies, sort their tyre compounds out. They'll have a fresh allocation as well, which will be beneficial to CPI, who went out on hards 3, 4, 5 red lights, and it is lights out and away we go here in the Hungaroring, and it is a good start for Gustav out away from P1 there. As look at Giovanni there, gets swallowed up as there's a bit of contact between Alpha Gully and Casper Flack into turn number 1. It's nearly 3 wide between those pairing now as Giovanni there battles away with Alpha Gully, who tries to get the overtake on him, but now he has to think more about behind than he can in front, because Casper Flack down the inside there on the Williams of Alpha Gully there for NLR's look at CPI up into 10th and 11th. Now Kasperfak continues to battle and try and, well, battle and now gets a power ahead of Giovanni there and up into second place in this race. A beautiful start for Kasperfak there for IRT as Lifeboat there gets up ahead of LDL Nico and up into sixth place is Inwa. Also makes a few moves as there's someone going slightly a bit wide and a bit round there towards the back of the field, and that was, I believe, Inwa there getting a little caught up on the rear end as now we get through this opening lap of action. Fairly clean, a few wheel banging moments there as actually I just see a well, an AlphaTauri there run very wide. That was EPL stretch there.
Kasper Flack's taking the lead.
And
Kasper Flack's taking the lead at the turn 11, I believe. No, turn 12. And he is now into the lead. Gustav relegated to second. He's on the hard tyre, I should mention. Kasper, Alfregulli, Lifeboat, all on soft. Cavano also on the hard tyres to begin lap number 2, heading down to turn number 1. The two Mercedes, the CPIs, have switched position. They're chasing down Fleddy, Kasper's teammate, in the IRT. Whoa, that's a bit of a push from McCallum from RTM. I don't know what happened there. It seemed like there might have been a tussle between CPI and the McLaren of Fleddy, the IRT, and it was. I thought I saw some damage there, but it seems like I may be mistaken as they come through. But that's the CPIs already up to 9th and 10th after just 1 and a bit laps.
Yeah, it was a disappointing start for LDL actually, as Oni has come into the pit lane. I did notice he had damage to his front wing on the opening laps, unfortunately for him, not being the best of starts. I'm not quite sure where he picked up that damage to his front wing, but he has got back out onto the track, 27 seconds behind. But it is worth finishing this race if you possibly can, because no matter where you finish, you're guaranteed points in this one, because points are awarded all the way down from P1 to P15, and with only 14 drives, you're guaranteed some penny for your efforts at this point of the race. And well, it's not very often that everyone who finishes get points in a race, but it's certainly going to happen tonight as Kasperfak, a new fastest lap of the race. He wants to try and take maximum points for IRT as his teammate is down 11th. Alpha Gully though ahead of Giovanni there, and up into third place for NLR. They're having a good start to this race, and now he's trying to chase after his former teammate Gustav, who obviously now represents ETA, and well, certainly going to be plenty of bad blood between these because they used to be teammates.
Yeah, they used to be, but you know, life goes on. We have to part separate ways. Just looking at the CPIs right now, they're right on the back of Enwar, who's on the medium tyres. Both CPIs are on the soft. Enwar's currently chasing Spicer, who's also on weaker tyres. He's on the hards, coming through the chicanes of 6 and 7. And they come out in a 4-car train through to 8 and 9. These sweeping turns you have to take with minimal braking before through to 10, and then pretty much almost flat out through 11, and then you'll be braking into 12. Now let's see who's going to go for a move here. Not looking like anyone as of note before the double hairpin of 13 and 14. Did you know this track was used as a filming site for the movie Gran Turismo? You can tell that if you look at the no spoilers in the final corner picture. You can tell, oh, that can't be Le Mans. That's got final chicanes. It's got the hairpin just as exactly as Hungary. Anyway, here comes Michelmi on Enwa, but he can't seem to get it. Or can he? He's going to have the move on the outside, and he is on the outside now, but is it too late? I believe it is. Will not be getting through for now. It's Enwa still in 8th position. Further up, Alpha Gully is gaining on Gustavar. He's already passed Giovanni for 3rd. Now, with the tyre advantage, is going for his his fake teammate, Gustavar. It's the ET8 team, not NLI. I know I have to keep reminding you, but it's not me that put the gamer tag in. I think you have to pay money to get it changed, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, indeed. That is why so many drivers do forget to take their old team off, because it costs that all-important money to change that team name. But Alpha Gully will be looking to overtake his former teammate, hopefully in a couple of laps' time, and you would think he'd be able to get it done with ease, given the difference between the soft and hard compound of tyres. Kasperfak out in front by 1.5 seconds as he comes across the line to begin lap number 5 of 35, which does mean we have 31 laps to go in this race, of course. But nothing for Alpha Gully to overtake on that particular occasion, as Mikilla down in ninth continue to try and apply the pressure to Inwa, but he's got to be careful. His teammate Artem behind is also applying a little bit of pressure to him, so you've got to be careful not to make any mistake in this race, because it could really unravel the race for CPI. And well, they are going to be losing plenty of time to, the teams they want to try and get points over tonight, to try and help secure that championship, because at this moment in time they are being held up by Inwa and Spicer here, because they're just not able to unleash their true pace and potential, because these drivers on the hards and mediums are just doing a very good job at holding them up.
They are indeed. Mikkelimi is still chasing down Inwa with the soft tyres, but they'll be wearing out soon. As well as Artem, he's right on the back of this too. He's going to pounce if Mikkelimi I do apologise if I pronounced that name wrong. I'm just going with what I see and how I probably pronounce it. Artem still sticking by, as we said, Inwa trying to gain a lot of time, but he can't seem to be doing it, and now there's DRS chances. You get DRS himself, seeing going to the inside to try and break any potential toll that Mikkelimi may receive, and now he's actually right behind Spicer again.
Yes, he is right behind Spicer, which, that's a good place to be in this race. He's on the medium tyres, so he's going to be expecting to have a bit stronger pace than the car in front of him, because Spicer is on the hard compound of tyres. But Mikilla there in ninth and Artem are both going to be trying to get past both of these drivers as soon as they can, but they're just not quite able to do what they want to be able to do in this race, because at this moment in time it is proving very difficult, and it's not going to be all too long until those soft compound tyres will start to wear off pace wise as well. So it's really do or die time for CPI to get the move done on these soft compound tyres, because give it too much longer and it's going to unravel for them.
Got a big lead in the championship, but they've got to keep it up if they want to win it as well. You can't just sit back and relax. It looks like that's what they're doing right now, and they've got to stop slacking if that's the case. They're still in an ordinary line, all the drivers, except for Casper. He's actually broken free off DRS.
Yes, he has indeed. Well, actually, you say that, as I believe he did break DRS range, but unfortunately for him, now Gustav is back within 1 second, which does show you that the soft compound tyres are beginning to maybe lose a bit of pace and go off a bit of a hypothetical cliff, which you can probably find quite a few of around this circuit, given how it is nestled in quite a few hills. So maybe there's a cliff nearby that these tyres are going off of, but certainly in the case of Casper, the pace that he had towards the earlier stage of this race, it seems to have very much vanished and very much disappeared, because all of a sudden Gustav is really gaining and reining the neck in on this IRT, because, all of a sudden he's within a second, and now he's within 0.8 of a second of that, well, McLaren car ahead, which is obviously IRT, and ETA in the form of Gustav are going to be licking their lips at the chance of a victory here tonight. They've already had a victory here on their debut. It was a dream start for the team with a 1-2. Then they've had podiums in every race they've competed in. Could it be a second win of the season in only their fourth race? That is what they'll be looking for. So certainly going to be trying to really apply the pressure to the back of Casper Flack for this one.
We come through lap 8 now. Gustav now 7 tenths down on Casper. It's closing ever so smallly, but of course Casper needs to keep up trying to find a way back into the 1 second plus gaps. It doesn't seem like he's getting anywhere near that. In fact, it's gone down to just nearly under 6 tenths, and Spicer gets a penalty already, the first for multiple warnings. CPI still in 9th and 10th. Those soft tyres doing nothing but help. Doesn't look like so. I think they may have to make an early pit stop. They have to. Lifeboat, Alpha, and Casper as well. For Fleddy behind too, but too far back, I'd have to say. Nico's starting to close up behind Lifeboat. These two have a bit of a history in PSGL F3, which is the league I also do, and Byron did last season. He's into F2. That's good to know. Lightbait being one of the standout competitors there. So is Nico and Coleman, who's not here tonight. But tell you what, some of these drivers got big potential if they keep racing like this. It's looking very promising for the future. And by the way, is that Gustav Ray close to Casper, Byron?
It is indeed. He's really been
Oh.
applying the pressure now, and now within 0.2 of a second, this man is really beginning to think about the overtake here on that McLaren car ahead of Casper Flack here, because unfortunately the soft compound tyres have fallen off a cliff, and quite a big one at that, because the pace just is not there. You can see Casper Flack, he's really trying to push through these corners to try and get as much pace out of his tyres, but they just haven't got any more to give, and unfortunately it just means that, well, Gustav R is just keeping so close behind now, within 0.3 of a second around these crucial corners of the laps. This is normally be all out. You're able to eke out an advantage on a set of tyres and get in out of that 1 second window, but as now we go through turn number 13 and towards turn 14, within 0.4 of a second is Gustav R on Casper Flack, and well, you got to think there's a real chance of an overtake here for the ET8 car as we head down the straight once more, pull out alongside and well ahead into the braking zone at turn number 1. There was no questioning that overtake there from Gustav R, and well, unless there is a fierce response here, despite the DRS that Gustav R would get from that double dose, as we see there, as Artem has come into the pit lane as well from soft compound tyres. They really weren't able to get them to work there, as well, funnily enough, we mentioned they weren't able to get them to work. Mikilla there, down in, well, 8th place, he did just manage to get ahead of Inwa, but the soft compound tyres clearly have found a cliff and firmly thrown themselves off it, because they just seem to have no pace anymore.
No, not at all. And Alpha Gully is battling with Giovanni again for third place at the same time Gustav and Casper are. Coming through to turn number 12 once again. It's still now a half-second lead for Gustav R, who was our pole sitter, with Casper flat behind now. Is Casper going to go in the pits? No, he's not. Although Artem did earlier, he seemed to do a massive undercut. Unless he had damage, that's the case. And he starts back to square one, it seems.
Yes, Casper Flack really probably needs to start thinking about pitting, but he has also got now DRS to try and help him keep a relatively good pace versus those on the hards, you know, on the mediums, and, you know, on those better compound tyres for the current track conditions. You know, he's now able to probably keep himself in that kind of window a little bit easier, because he'll have that benefit of DRS to help him ever so much, you know, just a little bit of an advantage there from that. About 4 or 5 tenths of a second you can gain from DRS around the lap. Here, not quite as strong as tracks like Austria, where you can gain up to 1.2 seconds with that rear wing being open, which is an absurd amount of time. He's not going to be gaining that much, but certainly it'll help him keep good pace to those around him in this current point in the race. But he really does have to think about pitting in the next couple of laps or so as he goes through turn 12 into turn 13. He's within a second once again. If you wanted to know, my friend has come online on PlayStation, forgot to put my PlayStation in Do Not Disturb mode. He's done it again for about the 12th week running. Nonetheless,
Congratulations.
Casper Flack doesn't come in on that lap. A little bit of a surprise to me.
No, not yet, and he is closing up. He's going to be about 2 tenths now, but those soft tyres will probably give him a massive disadvantage coming in the corner. See, goes back to 3.5 tenths, and he's not closing up at all on Gustav. He remains in second place.
Yep. Well, as I respond to an important message briefly, yeah, Casper Flack doing a fine job and keeping fine form around this circuit, using DRS to really try and aid him. Bit of a surprise, obviously, him having not come into that pit lane, but you know, he's managed to keep the pace fairly well. So no surprise that he's been able to kind of eke out that advantage and try and minimise the damage that being on those softs will be doing to his race. And it does open up some more strategic and brilliant strategy options for him later on in this race. I'm just interested to see as to when he does bite the bullet and come into the pit lane, as now we begin to head on to lap number 13. Does he come in this lap? No, he does not. He really is trying to eke out this strategy as long as possible, possibly trying to go and set the medium tyres, I would have thought.
Yeah, that seems like this is going to be the case, as he still closes up, but ain't making any gains at all. It seems like he's sticking by, but every time he sticks behind Gustav, those two behind, Alpha Gully and Giovanni, are starting to close up on them too as well. So he's got to think strategic here. When's the right time to come in? If he comes in too late, Alpha Gully and Giovanni might have a chance to pass him, but if he comes in early, he doesn't want to come in too early, or especially coming in a safety car coming out. That would be the last thing he'd want.
Yes, exactly. Could be to his detriment in the event that a safety car does happen, but for now, not doing too bad in this race. Only obviously back into the pit lane again in this race, really not having a good time, but obviously just trying to get any points that he can. If someone else retires, it'll be a couple more points in LDL's favour. So no point retiring at this stage of the race, but Casper Flack, the pace is showing that it's beginning to drop now, because 7.5 tenths the gap, but he's still managing to keep close enough for DRS and managing to keep close enough to, just not fall susceptible to Alpha Gully behind him, Nat Williams wanting to try and get past. And someone who does want to get past is Giovanna there on Alpha Gully, funnily enough. And the EPL does try and get ahead, but a rear end locking moment there as the front's locked on Alpha Gully, the rear's locked on Giovanna, side by side into turn number 2. They go contact, and it might left Lifeboat through on the pair of them as they're 3 wide into turn number 3. What? How do they manage to keep that one clean as Lifeboat only ran slightly wide there? Giovanni in third, Lifeboat in fourth, and now Alpha Gully in fifth. Beautiful racing from the trio there as now they battle through into sector number 2. Look at this train from Giovanni all the way down to Inwa there in ninth. This battle is going to really begin to ramp up between these drivers now. And now it's going to be trying to see if Giovanni can actually close up to Casper Flack, because they were in that battle, as we have Stretch, who's retired, and there's a safety car. It's an ideal scenario.
Byron, it was a crash between Artem and Stretch, and Alpha Gully has been given a 5-second penalty for colliding with Lifeboat. I did see that Alpha Gully was quite close to Nico and Lifeboat too, it seems. So, whoa! Casper Flack has overtaken Gustav before the pit lane limiter. That is technically a legal move, I think, even under the safety car. If I remember, actually no, I don't think it is under the safety car. I don't know what happened there, but it seems like Casper Flack has got ahead of Gustav, and they're going to be making everyone to stop. Stretch, yeah, he had a spin out of, I believe, turn 8, and it involved Artem as well, and I believe Artem has lost his entire front wing. Yep, it's all gone, and they're going to have to replace that, but he's going to be last place anyway, so it's not going to make a difference, really.
No, it definitely will not. But, a disaster there for CPI in terms of one driver being down now in 12th place in this race. A good situation, though, for LDL only, because, it'll be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, because now he's going to be towards the back of this train. Whether he comes into he doesn't come into the pit lane for a change of tyres, but he is on hard tyres, so no point changing. But an interesting move there from Casper Flack to get ahead of Gustav R in this race. Maybe a little bit on the cheeky side, but nonetheless a brilliant strategic display from him in this race. As have a quick look at that Twitch chat, see what you all have to say. Hello Fabian, Mark Steiner there in the chat. But yeah, going to be interesting to see what goes on in this race. And Casper, yeah, certainly is him because he's just pulled off what could be a blinder of a strategy in this race by getting that overtake done in the pit lane. A little bit cheeky, but could really work to his benefit. Safety car conditions. We're still waiting for Artem and Oni to catch up to the back of the train, but we should be underway come the end of next lap. But Casper Fuck leads ahead of Gustav R, Giovanna in third, Nico for Lifebelt in fifth, CPI, Mikila there in sixth, Inwa in seventh, Fleddy eighth, ninth going the way of Alpha Gully, and Capitan in 10th as Omi comes into the pit lane. Maybe just wants the freshest tyres of the field.
Yes, indeed. So it is all change up there. Yes, Oni has come in, of course, as you can see. So he's going to go on the better tyres to go in for Oni, but we'll be right at the back. We'll have somewhat of an edge though. Noticeably, Alpha Gully had to serve his 5-second penalty, so he can't get that appealed now. So he's down to 9th. Spies are the only driver for penalty now, and that was 3 seconds for overstepping the mark on those corners. Of course, you do that 3 times, you get a penalty, and there's no way you can combat that unless you believe that warning should never have been given. So, we should be getting underway this lap, just waiting for Oni to line up behind us. And the lights on the safety car, which are not on the top anymore like a police car. It's actually on the windscreen and on the spoiler. So as you can see on the spoiler right there, that is where the lights are now. I think that's been like that since 2022, as we should be getting underway soon. I don't know why it's taking so long for the driver's line. I don't think we're actually going to be going. Oh wait,
Yes,
we are.
Very late call there.
Yeah, very late call. I think it was a very late reaction from Castle Flag 2. Like he's just building up the entire field at the snail's pace, coming around the final 2 corners. But when is he going to drop the throttle? That will be the question. I think he might do it around the final corner. Still holding fire. Still holding fire. I think that's him going now, is it?
Nope, he's gone now. Yeah, he's definitely gone now. Wow, he's pulled quite the margin. As now we head down into turn number 1. Nico there, trying to battle there with Giovanna there, down into turn number 1, side by side. Goes the LDL and EPL is there. Makilla there, battles with Lifebelt 2. Side by side they run on the exit as now we head down into turn number 2. That is Lifebelt on the inside. Around the outside though is Mikilla there, as now we go down turn number 3. Side by side still they go. Beautifully held by both of them. Battling there behind as well between Inwa and Alpha Gully as well now. Plenty of action, plenty of overtaking on this safety car restart. But it is Casper Flux who leads the way 3.5 tenths ahead of the field as things stand. But Nico in third place. A good move from him to get ahead of Giovanna, and a good move from Mikilla to keep ahead of Lifebout in this race. But what a good opening lap to the safety car restart. LDL Oni, he's not been able to gain places, but he's back up to the back of this train. He's got a good opportunity to try and get more points in this race. But look at Gustav R. He's caught up to the back of Casper Flack, and he's probably thinking about an overtake very, very soon.
Very, very soon indeed. We come around to start lap 18. We've crossed to the halfway point of this race. It's lap 18, so Gustav is going to have a run at Casper Flack. No DRS, and he's looking down the inside, but he runs out of runway before he can make the move. Nico right there as well. Giovanni, as Spicer has got past Captain for 10th place. That will be another couple points for NLR. As they come through now, it's Spicer getting past Alpha Gully. He looks like he's going to be leading the team for now. Captain is absolutely struggling. He's trying to keep Artem at bay, but it's not working. Captain stays ahead, but it is starting to fall apart. Now, Artem looking on the outside of turn 5, but he won't get that either. Now he's going to go at the chicane, but he doesn't get it there. Further forward, though, still Casper and Gustav and Nico. Giovanni there as well in the top 4, but they're all starting to be really close to each other. don't be surprised when DRS is enabled, there'll be a lot of moves made.
Oh, absolutely, there will be a lot of moves made, but Artem has been trying to push his way past Capitan there, who is in 11th place. Every point so crucial to these teams, and CPI need to try and get a good result here, especially with the possibility of ETA taking the win here. They're a team in fine form as now DRS is enabled on lap 19 of 35. If you're just joining us, we've just got back after a safety car restart, and now DRS, having been re-enabled as Artem gets ahead of Capitan into turn number 1 on the exit. There's nothing that Capitan can do to respond to that one, but it is Casper Flack out in front, Gustav in second place, Nico in third, Giovanni in fourth, Makilla in fifth, Lifebout sixth, Letty in seventh, Inlet eighth, Spicer ninth, and Alpha Gully in 10th. But nonetheless, so much still to happen in this race. And look at that penalty for Spicer. It sticks out like a sore thumb, but it also sticked out like a sore thumb when we had a penalty given out of 5 seconds for a collision under the safety car, and I wonder if that might get removed after this race. But as things stand, it has been applied by the game. But yeah, nonetheless, Gustav, he's looking great versus Casper Flack here. He's really close to the back of the IRT McLaren there and looking and hunting an overtake here.
And through we go then. Lap 20 here. And Gustav has a run on Casper, but is he run out of time? He's not. And look at this. Nico's free wide. Free wide into the corner. This is chaos. It's all going to kick off. Gustav's in the lead. Briefly ahead of Casper. Giovanni's there and involved as well. And my goodness, it really has started to kick off now. Casper, very crazy first turn there. And now he's in second place. Nico very unlucky not to get past any of them in that. It looked like he had an opportunity gone amiss there, but of course 16 laps to go. That will definitely not be the end of that. Further back, that's Giovanni and McKellamy and Lifeboat. McKellamy already up to 5th. What a run from him. CPI need these points if they want to preserve their lead at the top of the standings. Lifeboat there for the ETA behind as well in 6th place. Further down, it looks like no drivers are above 1 second in a gap. It looks like they're all within 6 tenths at worst.
Indeed, it's looking brilliant here around the Hungaroring, and Casper Flack really falling a bit off the pace of Gustav here. If you wanted to keep an eye on the other action that's going on, oh my god, it sounded like I was about to do a press your red button on your Sky remote. But nonetheless, if you wanted to know what else happened on that restart, Spicer got ahead of Inwa there as we saw that 3-wide moment between Casper Flack, Nico and Gustav R. Spicer got ahead of Inwa, so being the team leader there down at NLR here, and now looking to chase after Fleddy. At one point, he was outside of a second of Fleddy because he made that overtake, but he got very quickly within 1 second and is really applying the pressure to the back of him for 7th in this race. But nonetheless, Casper Flack, he's got quite quite a race to have here. He needs to try and keep pace with Gustav R ahead, but at the moment it is Gustav R out in front for ETA in this race, and he is looking absolutely brilliant. It looks like it is going to be his race to lose.
It is indeed. Nico's trying to hang around as well, the top two, but it doesn't seem like Giovanni's going to let go of him. He wants to get into the podium positions as well. Lifeboat and McKellamy having their own battle for 5th place. Lots of points at stake here. Remember, 35 for a win here in CSS. Sometimes I forget what league this is. And then I just refer to one of the teams, and that's Spicer on the inside of Fleddy, trying to get away with that 3-second penalty, trying to gain the positions, and probably needs the positions more than others. Gustav, the gap was about 1/4 of a second briefly, but it's back up to just around 1/2 a second. Casper Flack in 2nd place. Got Nico and Giovanni still there. Further back, the Fleddy's trying to gain back on Spicer, who just lost position at turn number 1. Alpha Gully trying to get back his positions after having to serve a 5-second penalty for a collision with, I believe it was Lifeboat, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it
Before
was,
the
yes.
Yes, just after the safety car was deployed due to the crash involving Stretch and Artem still in 11th place, still can't get into the top 10, still going to score. Everyone's going to score if they finish. Because we do score, I believe it's 15 drivers here on CSS.
Yes, it is indeed. Casper Fleck nearly outside of a second here of Gustav in this race. That could be a real disappointing sight for the IRT if that's to happen. Great pace on the ET8 car of Gustav at this point in the race on lap number 23 of 35 as Alpha Gully gets ahead of Inwa. No battles with Inwa there for 9th and 10th place, and now actually he's falling susceptible to Artem as now they go side by side into turn number 2, but keeping it sensible. Artem backs out, can't quite fight that one, and he'll have to pick his battles and go for it another day, but nonetheless really close to the back of that Williams as we have a car outside of 1 second now. Inwa, he's outside of a second of Fleddy, but that's probably not going to stay that way for too long because he will be able to probably gain through some of these tight and technical corners as we go through sector number 2, and already back within 1 second. It is going to be crucial to keep within 1 second to keep your race alive here.
Absolutely. The gap's starting to get bigger and bigger, but the top's looking closer. It doesn't look like 4 tenths in all honesty. That's probably because we're going through lower corners. Got 12 laps to go now. Gustav still leading from start in pole position. And Casper trying to be spoiler of his party today. He's got a good run on him, but again, he doesn't make a move. Not willing. I think he's going to save it to the closing stages of the race. Everyone else should be battling to get up right now before getting first place, obviously. Artem still stuck in 11th. He almost got a move done in Alpha Gully after his mistake trying to overtake Inwa. But no can do, and he's still stuck there. Oni rounding back the field. We are still running.
Yes, this race looking very, very good indeed. And, well, nonetheless, no idea what is going on in this race. It could be anyone's win. It could be anyone's victory, anyone's gain out of this one. But ET8 currently holding that top spot. But Casper Fleck, we said about how he was falling out of 1 second. Could have lost a good amount of ground if he lost that DRS. He's managed to reel it back in. So possibly just saving the tyres a little bit more than Gustav ahead of him, or not using as much battery as well. That's always a possibility. But Nico looking very good at this point in the race as well. Really beginning to apply the pressure to Casper Fleck, which might be forcing him to push a little bit harder too. So that might be why we're seeing a bit closer action and battling here at this stage as Alpha Gully down there battling with Artem. Inwa is battling there as well. It's a good scrap here between these 3 drivers as now we head into turn number 2. That's going to sort itself out very nicely. It's Inwa ahead of Artem, ahead of Alpha Gully here in this race as Alpha Gully has a massive slide on the rear end there that nearly invites Capitan into the battle here and into the fold. But as they go through now into turn number 5, and it's not going to come to anything unfortunately for either for Capitan, unfortunately, as Alpha Gully loses more ground in this race. It's not been the ideal place to be for that car, but nonetheless it has been a great race for his teammate Spicer, who despite that penalty is still looking very good in this race.
Quarter second the gap between Nico in third and Giovanni in fourth, starting to get very close to each other. Then again, so are the top 2 as well. Gustav and Casper now coming round to start the first of the final 10 laps of this already more exciting than Manchester City versus Arsenal race. Which is good if you're from Liverpool, but I'm not. I'm Scottish, so yeah, we can't have an opinion. The leaders starting to close up again. Whoa, Nico right behind them as well. Artem has finally got up into 9th place after being stuck in 11th for years as the top 2 fighting again, it seems. Casper is very dangerously close to Gustav, and to be fair, so is Nico and Giovanni. It could be about to kick off one last time just before the checkered flag falls.
Absolutely, I think it's going to kick off plenty more times before the checker flag falls, because these drivers are separated by mere small margins around this sort of circuit, especially these corners. You might get a bit of dirty air, but it's very easy to keep pace with one another and adapt to where someone is improving and getting a little bit faster every time around, especially after going around it for 27 times up to this point in the race. So nonetheless, these drivers are going to be on fine form come the end of this race, and going to be competing with the very best, and they are competing with the very best in their respective leagues. But Casper Fluck a bit further back on Gustav as we go down the straight once again, so he's not going to be able to mount the pressure really onto Gustav this time around, but nonetheless, he's not doing too bad in this race, and at the moment he is running very well in second place and likely to take a good haul of points if he's able to take it as things stand. He wants that bit more for his team. He wants to try and take that race win, which obviously would mean a lot to him and his team, because if he's able to take that for IRT, it would be their first win of the season, let alone it'd only be their second podium of the season too, so it would mean a lot to them. But ETA, they want their second race win, and at the moment it is all theirs to take with both arms, because Casper Fluck, he's back out of close range here, because now 8/10 the gap between the pair.
Yes, absolutely, and in fact, Nico is much closer to Casper. It's starting to look very ominous for the IRT team with Freddie in 8th. He's all on his own, but he's still battling with Spicer in the NLR. Not a good night for NLR so far, only 7th at best right now. As McKillamy starting to pin, and there goes Nico back into second place. Is there a response from Casper Flack? McKillamy going for 4th. This is a great chance for him to take 4th. Going on the outside, Casper is back ahead of Nico. I don't know what's happened there, and in fact Nico is going to lose position perhaps. Nick Helmy still can't get past into 4th, and now it's going to be 3 wide almost coming into turn 3, and they survive the onslaught, and it's Nico in a 3rd, Giovanni in 4th, McKelmy in 5th, but Nico goes wide. That could be put up against him if he should get a penalty later. Giovanni there as well, now trying to get in to turn 6 and 7 they come, and it is starting to kick off further back now, so not at the top really anymore. In fact, Gustav is broken a second, so is Casper.
Yeah, this is exactly what Gustav would have wanted. He's out in front. He's got a second now. It's down to Casper Funk to try and get within it. Come that DRS detection point, which is just before the final bend. Is he quite able to manage it? McKiller has just got ahead of Giovanni there and into 4th place. And it looks like Casper Funk won't get DRS. That is a crucial and pivotal point in this race. If he doesn't get that rear wing open, which he doesn't, it could be disaster and curtains for anyone else's chance of a race win here tonight, as Nico is losing plenty of time to the lack of Casper Flack too, because he hasn't got DRS now. He's got to do more thinking behind than he has in front, as Lifebout continues to try and battle with Giovanni there for 5th place in this race. But out in front, Gustav, he's got hold of a second. He has got out that DRS range, such a crucial thing in this race. If he's able to keep it and able to hold it, it could be absolute curtains for anyone else's chance of a race win here tonight. Insane drive from that driver, Gustav. Take a bow. That is a brilliant race so far, but now Casper Flack back within DRS, but the action continuing back below.
Yes, but it's about to say it's starting to fluctuate between under and over 1 second. The place that matters is the detection zone. If he's within 1 second of the detection zone, his rear wing will be allowed to open. I think, not sure, I'm going to have to check. Maybe he's in it, maybe he's not. We'll have to see once the rear wing comes open. He hasn't
got it. disappointing for
Further
Casper Fleck.
back though, McKellar going for third place, and there it is. He was either 13th or 14th. He was right in the back row, and now he's podium position. Just what CPI need if they are to.
Yeah, CPI need a great result here tonight to try and help their championship boosted up and help try and secure it, and they've done a great start there with getting that podium for McKillaren as things stand. But you know, a lot can happen between now and the checkered flag. Looking at the top two, they have their rear light flashing. They've burnt their battery as much as they can, and I think that's going to be why this gap is yo-yoing about a little bit based on when they're deploying the little battery they have available to them. As Nico gets a 3-second time penalty. That is a crucial thing in this race because now it's going to affect his ability to battle with anyone around him now in these races. Now we head down and begin lap number 31 of 35, and Casper Fleck once again, no DRS for him and for IRT, as unfortunately it looks like it is all over for them because they have got very little battery to fight with, nothing to work with. As behind, look at the dive there from Spicer, trying to get ahead of Lifeboat, as now we go down towards turn number 2, and well, unfortunately it's not going to work for Spicer, but now he tries to hold it around the outside. Can he hold it around the outside? He's trying, he's battling, but wow, fine margins between the two. Lifeboat ahead, but how did they manage to hold that cleanly? I will have no idea. Beautifully done by the pair of them.
You still have no idea. Anyway, Nico now is in danger of losing several positions. In fact, he is going to lose positions. So someone else either has a penalty. And it looks like Giovanni could be on for fourth here, despite him slipping back, it seemed. And he might as well go for the position now. Nico, he's got half his battery left. You know, the top runners are... He's not got any battery at all, but McKillen, he's playing it conservative. He's at 40% for a while, and he's not using.
Interesting battery talk there, but now as we begin lap number 32 of 35, it is Giovanni there trying to get ahead of Nico into turn number 1. Nothing Nico can do to respond to that one, trying to get P4 on the road. That's exactly what he wants to do, especially Nico with that 3-second time penalty. It could be great though for ETA, as Spicer loses a place there to Fleddy, and now they go side by side. We've seen this 1 lap ago, side by side through there, and wow, once again the commitment between these drivers, unreal. Bit of touching, wheel banging, but nonetheless beautifully done, as Lifeboat gets a penalty too. I said it could be a great race for ETA, but unfortunately it's not going to be quite as good as maybe they hoped, because they won't gain that place that they were going to gain on Nico anymore, because they've got a penalty of their own to contend with. So now it's actually going to be important for Lifeboat to try and get ahead of Nico in this race, and it's all the more easy because Giovanni has pulled a second on that LDL class, and now a little bit easier for Lifeboat in this one, but it's even easier for Gustav, his teammate, because, well, he's out in front. No DRS for the car behind. You can pretty much cruise in this race. Turn on the cruise control and, well, just away you go in this one. But now Lifeboat, he's probably going to be turning on cruise control down the straight as DRS goes open, down into turn number 1. As sweet as you like it, ahead into turn number 1. Double dose of DRS, and that is it. You're comfortably ahead. No need to worry about anything. And now he knows that he'll at least be ahead of Nico once those penalties are applied, and that's exactly what he is going to want, because it means a couple extra points going the way of ETA come the checkered flag.
So with these 3 laps to go, I think Casper is starting to close back up again. He was well down earlier. Seems like he's closing up. McKelney's still staying conservative, but look, Giovanni is coming up behind. He has battery, so he should be using a lot of this battery right now. McKelney. Lifeboat behind is 5th. He has a penalty. He's got past Nico, and it doesn't look like it's going to help Nico at all. First he gets a penalty, then he gets overtaken by further down the order. Casper is starting to get back into the 1 second, but he's going to be close enough. Perfect corners here. I think it's going to be on edge. We'll have to see. I think he'll be alright. I think he's going to get the DRS again. Is that going to be DRS open again? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
This is a chance to close back up. Is it for Casper? But I don't. Gains? No, he's not. He's going to have another line to go, but it is not looking good for Casper. He's for a second briefly. It's gone back up to 1 second. I think it. He's got no battery left. No battery, and Gustav is about 5%. So that might be the last chance. It might not. But he's now built a 3-second gap on McKillany, who refuses to use the battery for some reason. I don't know what is happening. But maybe he rather just play it safe. I mean, it is all down to him, of course, if he wants to play it safe. But he has to keep Giovanni at bay from that podium.
Absolutely, he has to try and do it. CPI trying to get a podium. They started at the very back of this grid, 13th and 14th, and the man who started 13th, he's gained 10 places in this race, and well, he certainly could have had one of the best drives that team has ever seen, as I just looked life out as he ran wide there through turn number 11. So a very interesting display there of the track limits, but nonetheless, it is the last chance indeed for Casper here as we begin lap number 35, the final lap of this race. He's definitely closing in, but the battery, it's going to be his biggest weakness in this race because he's just not been able to maximize it, but he's within 5/10 of a second, so you never know what could happen on this lap. One mistake from Gustav or a penalty could be curtains, but there we go. Giovanni trying to get the podium off CPI. No battery there for Giovanni, but it means nothing because he's muscled his way past CPI McKillera in this race, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful display of racing from the pair of them, and it does mean EPL get onto that podium, and that could be a great way for them to have a great start to their season. They got 14 points last time out. They got a disqualification for their other driver, but it could be a good podium for them, and taking away 26 points here if they're able to hold it for the next half of this lap. But let's take you to the front. It's been a great race for ETA. It's been a great race for Gustav. Casper Flack could not respond. He didn't have the battery. He didn't have the pace. ETA, they've won once this season. They win again. Their podium run continues here in Competitive Speed Series. Casper Flack in third. Giovanni take their first podium in CSS for EPL. A great race for them. CPI can only get 4th in this race, and 6th there for Artem Lifebout in 7th place. Nico 8th, and Spicer and Alpha Gully there 9th and 10th. A great race for ETA, a better one though for IRT, and a brilliant race for CPI, who started all the way at the back and had to have a recovery drive of dreams. But there we are. What a race that was. But Gustav takes a race win in CSS for ETA. What a dominant display from the team that joined halfway through.
Yes, and I tell you what, the top 3 remained in the top 3, albeit switched around a bit. Second and third finished 3rd and 2nd in the race. So consistency from the top 3, but that rogue in number 4 was the driver that started at the very back. And I believe McKiller is saying something like 15-second penalty for Giovanni right for the last race thingy. Or 5-second what? I don't know what that means. Let me just read through.
Well, whilst you have a little read, Logan, here is your race classification then. It was Gustav taking the race win ahead of Casper Flack. Giovanni in 3rd, McKiller there in 4th, Fleddy 5th, Artem in 6th, Lifebout in 7th, Nico 8th, Spicer 9th, 10th going away with Alpha Gully, Inwa in 11th, and Capitan 12th. Race Concept Racing LDL in 11th there, with Oni and Stretch does not finish the race, and as a result does not get any points out of this one. But your main talking points is EPL, their first podium of the season, ET8 with Gustav R, their second race win of the season. Where do you even unpack that race? Casper Fluck in the second for IRT. Such a good race, such a great display from everyone involved in this race. And if you want to have a good idea, it's going to be a great race. And 5 seconds is going to be given to Giovanni for Stretch's DNF.
Oh.
Apparently. Well, I'm not sure if he served. I swear he served it in the race, though. So it shouldn't matter. Yeah. Oh, serves a 5 second for last.
Yes, 5 seconds to Giovanni as
Yes.
Stretch DNF was meant to serve it, but swapped over. Swapped over?
No idea. Very confusing, but let's have a little look before we get ourselves...
So that means McIlhenny finishes third. From the back.
Would mean, yeah. Well, let's actually not look at the calendar for the... not look at that. What have I done? Oh, I know what I've done. I've just completely butchered it. I've got rid of my scene. I wanted to take you through the calendar, and I've accidentally deleted the calendar, which is not ideal. Funnily enough, give me 2 seconds so I can find the calendar, and we'll take you through this calendar.
I can tell you next week it's Bahrain.
It is indeed. I'm literally just searching, found it, and I'll size it up for you. And there you go. There's your calendar. It is, it is just been Hungary. Next is Bahrain, then Japan, then Las Vegas, and Brazil to round out this season. But thank you very much for watching. What a race that has been. Penalties not coming to a cropper, but good to see ETA on top, showing a great start to their season. They may have joined later on, but they really have shown some great form up to this point. Now, they had 138 points going into this one. They're going to leave with quite a lot more, but can they get up to the highs of CPI? They've taken their second race win, but can they build on it next time out, when we head to the deserts and head to the Bahrain International Circuit? But until then, thank you very much for watching. We will see you when Competitive Speed Series returns. Until then, though, goodbye.